Everyone at that dinner table had a fork in one hand and a secret in the other, except my Aunt Lydia. She had a loaded flash drive. It was my 32nd birthday. I hadn't been home in 2 years. Honestly, I wouldn't have come back if my mom hadn't passed. But the will was supposedly finalized, and Aunt Lydia said it was important that I come to the dinner with the rest of the family. She said, "You need to be present, sweetheart, even if it hurts." Hurt? That was an understatement. My mom died a month ago in a car crash. The whole thing was called an unfortunate accident, but something about it never sat right with me. Skid marks didn't match the impact. Her seatbelt was unbuckled, and she always wore it. Always. So here I was, back in our family home, lipstick on, anxiety in my lungs, sitting with people I didn't trust, including my cousin Claire, who once stole $500 from our grandmother and blamed me. The air felt weird, like the walls were holding in secrets too thick to breathe. Aunt Lydia kept picking at her napkin. She hadn't touched her wine. That's how I knew something was very wrong. Lydia always drank red with lamb. And then it happened. She leaned over as the others clinked glasses to a dry cheers, and whispered, "You shouldn't be here." At first, I thought she meant emotionally. Grief, whatever. But then she slid something across my lap under the table. Smooth, cold, plastic. A flash drive. "What the hell is this?" I whispered back, eyes flicking to make sure no one noticed. But she didn't respond. She straightened up and addressed the table. "To family," she said, raising her glass only a couple inches. "And to the truth. May it always find its way out." What followed next was just fake laughter, awkward chatter, forks scraping plates. But that little piece of plastic burned a hole in my lap the entire evening. When I got home that night, well, home is a stretch. I'm staying in my mom's old house until I figure out what's what. It's filled with her scent, like lavender and fresh laundry. I can't sleep in her bed. I sleep in the guest room. Less ghosts there. Salem, my black cat, greeted me with a deep, rasping meow the second I walked in. He's been glued to my side since the funeral, like he knows. He always curls against my ribs when I cry and purrs loud enough to almost drown out the silence. Tonight, I didn't cry. I opened my laptop and plugged in the drive. It was full. Hundreds of files, PDF documents, emails, photographs, and then one that made my stomach twist. will_scan_2022_final.pdf, dated just 3 weeks before the accident. Wait, that didn't make sense. Mom's will was updated last year. Then, why was her signature dated just 21 days before she died? I opened the document, and my mom's name had been signed under completely different terms. Everything had changed. The house wasn't mine. It was left to Claire. And that's when I saw it. A second version of the same will. Same date. Different signature. Salem leapt into my lap and hissed at nothing. And then the lights went out. I didn't scream when the lights went out. I just sat there, frozen. Laptop screen glowing in the dark. Salem low growling in my lap like something unseen was in the room. His ears flattened all the way back. Maybe it was the storm outside. The wind was wild, slamming branches against the side of the house like fists. But the blackout felt timed. Too timed. I whispered, "You're okay," rubbing Salem's fur even though I wasn't talking to him. My laptop battery still held a charge. I clicked between the 2 versions of the will, both dated 3 weeks before Mom died. Same format, same header, but the beneficiaries were completely different. Version 1, everything went to me, house, savings, jewelry, even the antique record collection her and I used to dance to on weekend mornings. Version 2, the entire estate went to Claire. Not split, not shared, everything. The signature on version 2 looked shaky, like it was traced. My mom had beautiful cursive. This looked like someone was trying too hard to copy it and failed just enough to hope no one noticed. My heart raced so fast I felt it in my throat. Then a folder caught my eye, one labeled correspondence. Inside, emails between Claire and a lawyer named Thomas Greer. And I shit you not, one from a month before the accident read, "Once the updated doc is submitted, she won't know what hit her. You'll be the sole heir in case of any event. Let's not get cold feet now." Cold feet? I slammed the laptop shut. I couldn't look anymore. I was sweating, cold all over, like the walls were watching. Salem dug his claws into my thigh. Not deeply, just enough to say, Be alert. I needed answers. Real ones. And only one person could give them to me. Aunt Lydia. She slid me the flash drive. Risked something by doing that, even sitting across from the rest of the family. Did she know I'd find this? Did she expect me to act? I texted her. Me. Who forged the will? Lydia. Typing. Lydia, meet me at the lake house. Tomorrow. Noon. Tell no one. And bring Salem. Salem? Okay. That was creepy. The lake house was our old family retreat, abandoned since Mom and Lydia had a massive falling out in 2018. No one had touched it in years. Why would she want to meet there? My phone buzzed again. Lydia, if they know you have that flash drive, they'll come for you. Make sure no one follows. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I kept picturing Claire's smug little smile over dessert at dinner. How fake it looked. How forced. And something else. I remembered what she whispered in the hallway bathroom while everyone else sang happy birthday. You always land on your feet, don't you? She said, smoothing her lipstick. Let's hope you still do. This place has sharp corners. Sharp corners. What the hell did that mean? When I woke up the next morning, Salem was staring at me from the windowsill. Not in his usual relaxed loaf position, but tense, ready. The front door was cracked open. Neither of us did that. And someone had left muddy footprints all across my mom's pale wood floor. The mud was still wet, literally tracking across the pale wood, winding in like whoever entered had taken their time, almost wanted me to see. And that silence? That thick, unnatural silence where the only sound was Salem growling low and constant from the windowsill, that told me everything I needed to know. Someone had been inside, and not that long ago. I grabbed the baseball bat from under the couch. Mom kept it there for peace of mind, which felt ironic now. My heart slammed against my ribs as I walked the length of the living room, following the prints to the hallway. No movement, no sound, just my own breath and Salem's claws clicking behind me on the floor. He refused to leave my side, his fur fluffed out twice its size. The bathroom door was cracked open, the same mirror Claire had smoothed her lipstick in the night before. Except now, there was a message written in it, in red. You always wanted more, didn't you? Lipstick. Not blood. Lipstick. My fingers trembled around the bat handle. I backed out, locked every door and window, double-checked the back door, then checked the attic latch. Because paranoia is survival when your family starts writing cryptic shit on your walls. I didn't call the cops. What was I gonna say? My cousin might have broken in with a tube of Ruby Obsession and left passive-aggressive wall art? No. No police. Not yet. I needed facts. Proof, not vibes. By 11 that morning, I packed a tote bag with snacks, water, a charger, and that flash drive. I wrapped it in a thick sock and shoved it deep into Salem's carrier. Not the most high-tech hiding spot, but no one was looking for a USB drive in a cat's ass. You know? We drove to the lake house. It sat at the end of a gravel driveway overgrown with brush and poison ivy. Looks exactly like a place you'd find a body if this were a murder mystery. Hell, maybe it still was. Aunt Lydia's old red Range Rover was parked out front, and something told me she wouldn't have invited me unless she was scared too. When I walked in, the place smelled exactly the same: dust, mold, and stale firewood. Childhood memories tried to surface, but grief smothered them fast. Salem curled into my chest in the carrier as I stepped in, and there she was, Lydia, in a turtleneck and long coat, leaning against the fireplace mantel like a movie villain or a woman who'd held in too much for too long. You opened the files, she said. No hello, no hug. Good. You need to tell me what's happening, I whispered. Why are there two wills? Why did Claire get everything? She sighed. And for the first time in my life, Aunt Lydia looked afraid. I tried to stop them. I thought I could stall it. But your mother, she figured it out too late. I swallowed hard. My throat was dry. She knew? Lydia nodded. And that's why they killed her. A chill raced down my spine. But it wasn't her words that floored me next. It was the name she whispered when I asked who did it. Not just Claire, Lydia said. It was your father. I laughed. I don't know why. It wasn't funny. It was one of those deep, broken laughs that escapes when your brain short-circuits under too much weight. My father? I repeated. You really expect me to believe he had something to do with this? He left when I was 6. Hasn't shown his face since. Aunt Lydia crossed the room, slow, deliberate, like she knew her next words would break something that couldn't be put back together. Exactly, she said softly. He disappeared so no one would trace this back to him. But he never really left. He just changed names, got smarter. I just stared. I don't even know where he lives, I snapped. No one does. He ghosted all of us. Lydia looked me dead in the eyes. He never left the state. My stomach turned. She pulled out a manila folder from her bag, fat with printed emails, financial records, and photos. In one of them, he was sitting across from Claire at some sleek restaurant, smiling. Same beard, grayer. Same crooked smirk I used to watch through the window when he lit cigarettes. The timestamp? Just 3 months ago. My voice cracked. Why would Claire be meeting with my father? For what? He hated this family. Lydia's eyes darkened. Not all of it. He loved power, control. And now, he's got both. She showed me the paper trail. Business accounts opened in Claire's name. Shell companies. Money quietly transferred using accounts tied to the estate. All roads leading back to that flash drive. So, what? He coached her? Used her? I whispered. No, Lydia said, her voice dropping, almost shaking. She's not the pawn. You are. That shut me up fast. She stepped closer, then pulled something from her coat, a tiny velvet bag. Inside, my mother's wedding ring, but not the one she wore every day. The one she stopped wearing after the divorce. The one she claimed she lost. I remembered it vividly, thick gold band, 2 tiny diamonds on the side that she used to say looked like twin eyes watching everything. Aunt Lydia said, your mother gave this to me the week she died. Said if anything happened to her, to give it back to you. And to tell you the truth, I didn't want it. I didn't want any of it. Salem mewed low from the carrier and pawed at the zipper, restless. That cat has timing, I swear. Like he knows when I break on the inside. I dropped onto the old leather couch, ring in one hand, truth in the other. And that's when a rock shattered the window. Glass exploded inward. Aunt Lydia screamed, ducked. A note was tied to the rock with twine. I crawled across the floor, heart in my throat, and opened it with shaking hands. In blood-red ink, you're next. Stop digging. If you're still with me, buckle the hell up. Also, for real, if you've ever been through family betrayal or found out someone isn't who they said they were, drop a comment. I want to know I'm not alone. And if you want to see how deep this mess truly goes, subscribe. You're not gonna believe what's coming next. So yeah, I screamed, not proud of it. But after someone hurls a rock through a window with a threat scribbled in blood-colored ink, you are allowed to scream. Aunt Lydia grabbed my arm and yanked me back behind the couch. Her breath was shallow, fast. We need to go. Now. No, I snapped, heart beating so loud I could barely think. We need to call the police. Like, yesterday? She shook her head. And say what? That your dead mom's will was forged and your long-lost dad is plotting revenge through your sociopath cousin? Fair enough. Outside, footsteps crunched over dead leaves, circling the porch. Salem hissed from inside his carrier. I reached for the bat again, just in case. Lydia peered through the crack in the curtain. They're not here to warn you again, she whispered. This is a cleanup job. If they get that flash drive, the entire paper trail disappears. Claire becomes the poor grieving cousin, and you vanish. I wrapped both arms around the cat carrier and ran out the back exit into the woods behind the lake house. Lydia jumped behind the wheel of her SUV and peeled out down the gravel road while I dove into the back seat, shaking, breathless, gripping Salem like a lifeline. We made it to a crummy roadside motel off Route 7. Peeling paint, flickering sign, only 2 rooms occupied besides ours. It felt like the end of the world, in the best way. I collapsed onto the stiff mattress while Lydia chain-smoked by the open window. I have a burner we can use, she muttered. We'll send the files anonymously. A few news networks still hate your father. I blinked. You know where he is? She exhaled smoke. I know where he hides. He always thought power protected him, but men like him, and girls like Claire, they forget paper doesn't burn itself. I looked down at the ring, still in my palm. Twin diamonds stared up at me, and then I did something stupid. I slid it on. Instantly, something shifted, not just in me. In the room, Lydia turned slowly. Why did you do that? I frowned. What do you mean? My mom left it for me. She walked over, grabbed my hand, and stared at the ring like it was a ticking bomb. That's not just jewelry, she said. Look underneath. I twisted the band, etched inside the gold, so faint I hadn't noticed before. Don't trust who buried the velvet box. I blinked. What the hell does that mean? Lydia looked like she'd seen a ghost. She backed away and sat slowly. That ring's box. Your mom had it hidden in the garden behind your old house. She told me once she buried something else with it. Something she was too scared to keep in the safe. You think it's still there? I breathed. She nodded once. Sharp. We're going back tonight. Of course it had to be midnight. Of course we had to sneak into the house where someone had already broken in. But even with all that, I didn't expect what we'd find in that dirt. Because what we dug up wasn't just a box. It was a phone, still charged. We didn't speak as we dug. The backyard was soaked from last night's storm, soil heavy and sticky, clinging to the trowel like blood on a knife. Salem stayed inside the car parked up the block, curled up, fast asleep and blissfully unaware that his human was 5 emotional breakdowns deep. Lydia hit something first. A hard clink. Metal, not velvet. We pulled it out together, mud-crusted, military-grade phone case. Inside was an old iPhone, dented on the corner, the glass chipped but unshattered. I wiped it on my shirt, breath already shaky. The screen blinked. Battery, 11%. It was real. Somehow, my mom had hidden a working phone, a digital black box. I looked at Lydia. Wanna do the honors? She shook her head, already pale. This part's yours. Inside were only 3 apps. No browser, no maps, no contacts, just photos, notes, and voice memos. I hit play on the most recent memo. My mom's voice filled the night air, quieter than I remembered, shaky, almost afraid. If something happens to me, it wasn't an accident. Claire has been meeting with someone. I think, God, I know they're planning something. I caught them on the security footage, talking in the driveway. He looked like Derek. But it can't be. He's gone. Derek. My father. She gasped on the recording, like she just realized she said his name out loud. I'm hiding this in the garden behind the butterfly bush. Lydia, if you're hearing this, or my baby girl, please don't let them get away with this. They're rewriting my life and burying me with it. I dropped the phone. Lydia caught it mid-fall. Holy shit. She breathed. It's really him. He's here. I staggered back. The wind felt colder suddenly. My mother had known. She'd been living in fear. While Claire smiled at her over birthday cake. While my cousins laughed at the damn funeral. While I questioned if she'd run that red light on purpose during her accident. And then, something new popped on the screen. The phone buzzed. Battery, 9%. A missed call notification from unknown. Just 2 days ago. I opened the voicemail without thinking. It wasn't my mother. It was Claire. You think burying one phone can stop this? I know you're digging, babe. Keep going. You never did know how deep this went. Then she giggled. Light. Twisted. Say hi to Salem for me. It felt like my blood drained straight out of my feet. That voicemail was left after Aunt Lydia sent me the flash drive. Claire knew. Somehow. She knew everything. And she'd been watching me, tracking, listening. A slow creak broke through the night air. My head snapped toward the back door. It was ajar, wide enough for someone to slip in. Lydia grabbed my wrist so hard it hurt. We have to go, now, Salem. I left him in the car. My hands shook as I gripped the phone and ran. Shoes slipping through wet grass, heart pounding, lungs burning as I made it to the street. And froze. The passenger door to the car was open, and the carrier was empty. Salem? My voice cracked, wild and useless against the wind. I whipped my head around like I could see her, Claire, hiding in the tree line or ducked behind a car. But no one was there. Just damp asphalt, fog rolling in thick, and an empty pet carrier rocking gently like someone had just pulled him out. No, 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 I gasped, checking under the car, around the bushes, scanning the shadows like he could have escaped on his own. He wouldn't have run. He never runs. And then I saw it. A red scarf tied to the fence. My red scarf. The one that had been in my car just yesterday. Wrapped around it, like a ribbon on a twisted little present, was a flash drive. Another one. Lydia caught up behind me, breathless, and froze when she saw the scarf. They have him, I whispered, fury boiling in my veins. She took him just to prove she can. Lydia looked like she'd aged 5 years in 5 seconds. They're accelerating everything. You rattled her. I wanted to scream. Instead, I clenched the drive in my fist so tight the edges dug into my palm. Back at the motel, I slammed it into my laptop and clicked the first file. Surveillance footage. Grainy, black and white. I pressed play. It was Mom, in her own driveway, talking to a man whose face was only slightly visible, but the voice was clear when he turned his head. Stay quiet, Eleanor, and your daughter walks away clean. That voice burned through me. My father. The next video was worse. Claire, sitting on a couch next to Derek, sipping from a glass. She laughed at something off camera, and then said, "Once the switch happens, she'll spiral. People like her always do. She'll either kill herself, or no one will believe her when she starts yelling." Spiral. They planned this. They scripted it. Tears blurred my vision. Lydia muttered behind me, "She thinks this is over." But it wasn't. There were emails too, one addressed to a name I didn't recognize, M. Garrison. It read, "Transfer the funds soon as she cracks. The accident didn't work. If she digs, we bury the cat." Emotional leverage always makes them quiet. I closed the laptop. "Burn it down," I whispered. "Every file, every photo, we leak it all." Lydia nodded, but gently stopped me. "Not yet. We need something else. Something decisive." I stared at her. "Like what?" Her eyes were wet but clear. "A confession." Out of nowhere, a faint sound hit my ears. A meow, distant, but real. I ran toward the sound, across the gravel lot behind the motel. There, tied to the bottom slat of the back fence, barely visible through a storm drain, Salem, shivering, wrapped in, what else? Claire's silk blouse. But he wasn't alone. Pinned next to him with a safety pin was a note, scrawled in sharp black ink. "Meet me tomorrow, 1 p.m., your mother's gravesite. Come alone. Bring the drive. Or next time, it won't be the cat." I didn't sleep that night. Just laid on the stiff motel bed, watching Salem pace the floor like he was on guard duty. Every creak, every passing car, made both our heads snap around. At one point, he curled up on my chest, purring heavy, not peaceful, but like he was trying to hold me together. I kept hearing Claire's voice, "Or next time, it won't be the cat." Morning came fast, cold and gray. I dressed in black, maybe out of instinct, maybe anger, but it felt like armor. The cemetery was empty when I arrived. Noon sharp. Lydia was parked a few blocks away with a burner phone and instructions to call the press if I didn't text her in 30 minutes. She begged me not to go alone, but I needed this. I needed to see Claire's eyes when she realized I wasn't afraid anymore. I walked between headstones until I reached my mother's grave. Eleanor N. Reed. Loving mother. Fierce friend. Never fooled. And there she was. Claire, leaning against the stone like it belonged to her. Dressed in designer black, a smirk sharpening every line of her face. Sunglasses. Red lipstick. Nails like claws. Like she came to bury me too. "You brought it?" she asked casually. I pulled the flash drive from my coat pocket, holding it out. "Is this what it's about? All of this? For money? For a dead woman's estate?" She smiled, tilted her head. "Don't be naive. It's not about the money. It's about winning. Your mom never thought I was good enough." Spoiler alert. No one gave a damn about sweet little Claire until I took what they wouldn't hand me. "You had everything," I snapped. "I would have shared it with you." Claire took a step closer. "Exactly, sweetheart. Shared. I don't share." I shook my head, disgusted. "You killed her." She didn't flinch. She got in the way. "Just like you are now." My hand inched toward my phone. "You just confessed." She laughed, dark and low. Oh babe, I've been wearing a mic jammer since Tuesday. You think I'd be this dumb? I took a shaky breath. No, but I did think you'd be this arrogant. Her smile faded just a little. I pulled something from my other pocket, Mom's old phone. Old tech isn't affected by your fancy jammers, Claire, and this baby's been recording everything since I stepped out of the car. Her eyes widened. I kept going. The press is on standby. You're done. But she didn't panic. She stepped back and clapped. Slow. Well played, she said. But you should still check the flash drive you brought. I frowned. Why would I? I opened it on my phone. Not files. Just one. A video. Me. Last night. Digging. Screaming. Throwing a shovel. Lydia in the background, gun in hand. A full edit. Voiceover from Claire's distorted voice. Subject appears unstable. Possibly armed. Potential suspect in mother's suicide. I stared in horror. You're framing me. She leaned closer, whispering like a secret. I'm not done digging yet. And if you made it this far with me, tell me something. Would you take justice into your own hands? Comment your thoughts. I want to know what you do. And if you need to know what happens after she walks away, subscribe. You won't want to miss the next secret. It's already hiding in your family, too.